This is the first of several websites I've built now using the ASP.NET technology with SQL Server backend. It looks nice, and a lot of that is because someone has already done the color scheming and layout for me. This site started as a Microsoft starter kit, and I'll admit that I felt a little ashamed of myself to be, taking something like that for free without building my own from scratch. But what I discovered was that there was a whole lot available to me besides just the presentation. I probably wouldn't have taken the effort to learn about if it hadn't been for the fact that here I had an opportunity to get my hands right on it and work with it. A lot of these new sophisticated controls that are part of the framework. Now, for instance, you see we have a login area here where users can log in. We can create accounts. And this is taking advantage of the new tools that Microsoft provided for developing the tables and the stored procedures and the constraints and things in the database backend. All very quickly done. Matter of fact, no time at all on the part of the developer other than to just run a command from a command line. And then all of these things are generated for us. And so that's nice. And then the menu, using the sitemap XML file, things like that. They're very nice. This control right here became part of this kit, grabs pictures randomly out of any of a number of photo albums that I can select, and then it will just present one, to the user. Each time the user loads the page or reloads the page, I can show you a couple other pictures here. This one is of Greenland, a site in Greenland. I worked with somebody here on my radio, ham radio, and we'll click the picture, and we can see that also then with this kit comes a photo handler, and will be presented an enlarged version of that photo. Yeah, so there we are in Greenland. Boy, no trees, you'll notice. Yep, and so anyway, let's take a look and see. Maybe here's another picture. Someone else I worked. This was on Franz Joseph Land. Yeah, here's a guy I worked, another part of the world. Okay, and so that's nice. All part of the starter kit. I added a lot of welcoming text and a few things. I did create a page for sending emails to me, and so I can take credit for that a little bit and the code behind. I did an awful lot of learning with this site, just like I said, by getting my hands on it. Now, here you'll see on my personal site, I do have things about my family, and these are mostly, just static pages. And you can click, oh, this is interesting. We can hover over and click and get a name of whomever. Yeah, see up here it says I clicked on Jim. Right here, who's this guy? This is Bill, my brother Bill. And this is me, of course, with that N8PPQ halo that always hovers around wherever I go. Yep. Anyway, let's go on back then. This is my home page. And like I said, I added interesting content, I believe, but they're static pages. And if you're interested at all, metal casting, I got into sculpture with brass and aluminum. And mathematics, I taught math and physics and some things I did before math or physics, back when I used to work for a living. And then I have static page, shows a chess game that I got published in Michigan Chess years ago. Too bad it didn't win the game. Yeah, and here's a little bit about ham radio, which has been a big hobby for me for some time now. But I did do some dynamic stuff here too, right off the bat, because that was my objective. I wanted to learn how to do data-driven websites, applications, using SQL Server and the new technology. And so I put this together, and what this is really is it accesses my logbook when ham operators make shortwave contacts. We log them, and we used to always just log them in paper logbooks. Well, we use computer desktop applications as well to keep our log files. and then we can also upload these to national database, our national headquarters, and then that's nice. Well, what I've done is I've included mine now in a SQL database, and so I'll upload mine to that SQL database out there someplace in the world. GoDaddy.com. Anyway, let's go ahead and search OX3KQ. OX3 King Queen. I remember working this guy at least once, twice in Greenland. This is in Greenland. And there you can see the details. We found him in the log, and we worked him on these dates in mode both times sideband. That's right, and both on 20 meters. Right. I don't think I've gotten a QSL card back from him, but looks like I sent one. Anyway, and right here we see the number of countries I've worked in the world. DXCC entities, almost synonymous with countries. So I've worked 282 now, confirmed 275. And if we want to, we can see what those countries are by clicking the little button. And now we have this list suddenly available. And you'll notice, probably wouldn't, that the other list vanished. Now you got to tell computers to do that. They don't, even the ASP.NET controls don't realize when you're finished with them. You have to let them know explicitly in the code. Anyway, here I'm just scrolling through a long list of countries, and I have postcards from every single one of these places. Yeah. You'll notice some very unusual places maybe you've never heard of before, or maybe places you've heard of but you didn't know really existed, like for instance, I don't know, the Vatican? Yeah, I guess I do have a card from the Vatican. I'd forgotten that. Okay, and then here's a short list of cards I'm waiting for, countries I'm waiting for. Yep, and if you wanted to, you could see my whole log. I'll present that here too at the click of a button. Okay, and that shows then what we have. Oops, yeah, there we are, loading up. Okay, there's my log. And so there you are. That was my first work with data-bound controls. Now let's take a look at the code. I do have Visual Studio open here. And what I'm showing you now is the code behind file for the default page. This is the home page. There's really nothing much here in this code behind page. And so there's really I didn't do a whole lot, did I? The only method that I had anything to do with here is when we click on that image button, we pull the right image out and present it in that other page, that image presentation page, and we're using query string for that, you'll see. That's all I did. And so all of the rest of what's going on here, for instance, this, all of this stuff here, isn't handled at all in the code behind page. It's all up front in the presentation layer. These are actually data-bound controls. Form view controls, that sort of thing, and they're data bound, and so I really don't have to write code to hit the database, and I don't have to write any select statements and that sort of thing. And so it's easy actually to get quite lazy, and that did cause me some trouble, I'll tell you that. I have weaned myself away from a lot of these like data bound fields and the grid views and things like that, because when things don't work right, like say if you're trying to do a select statement or an insert or update from these data bound controls, you don't really get any clues as to what's going wrong this way when it's all up front. But what I've done is I just go ahead and also use templated fields and call the stuff from the code in the back. Better handle on things that way. But like I say, this is when I began, and I was delighted that things snapped together so quickly. What I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and debug this program, and I'll show some code and as it's working. And what I'll do is, rather than starting here at the home page, which, like I told you, isn't doing a whole lot right now anyway, what we'll do is we'll go to the online log page that has a little bit more going on in the back end, and I'll show you that code. And I'll set that as a start page, and we'll go ahead and debug, and then step into the code. I believe I set a breakpoint already there at the page load event handler. Okay. We'll wait patiently